Thank you for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers for dog trainers or anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
Okay, tell me about your bike.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 2017 Harley Dyna.
Oh, you have a Dyna.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm a Dyna bro through and through.
Okay.
Okay. It's got T-bars, risers. Looks like a Sons of Anarchy bike. It's the typical West.
Do you have the MC like thing on the front of the light there?
I'm a lame motherfucker. Yeah. It's a total Jax Teller bike, and I love my motorcycle. I'm actually sponsored by a dealership, a Harley dealership here in Texas. Again, pioneering things. And what we do is we put together rescue rides every Sunday, and we ride down to a shelter in Lockhart, and we go and we put in elbow grease. We clean their shit kennels.
To clean the facility. Yeah.
Yeah, like we do all those things. I don't go there to train dogs. I go there to get on my hands and knees and clean the shit and piss. I bet most of y'all wouldn't even think that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Hey, okay. So I ride an FZ07. I'm that guy. I'm faster than you.
That crotch rocket.
And I love sport bikes. I love that you have superior technology. I love all that. I love that your bike is more efficient. But you know what? I just don't give a fuck. I love Harley Davidson.
You know what though? Maybe it would make you happy to learn that I took my test here in California.
Look at him.
It's probably the same in Texas.
Yeah.
But I took my test in California with my buddy's Softail.
Awesome.
With apes and with like the front fucking, and it was the biggest, heaviest fucking thing I've ever ridden in my entire life. And then of course, once I do the test, then I bought my first bike, which was an R3, and I'm like, oh, I could have done this so easy on the Softail. That is no joke.
Just think about leaning and that thing leans. So at the end of September, or was it? No, it was at the end of October. I did 5,000 miles across the Southwest on my Dyna, and I rode from Austin to Phoenix to my seminar, which was like a hell of a fucking entrance because I was running late, and like it was an outside seminar, and just like my pipes and there's like videos of me just like pulling up like with super loud, getting off the bike, looking all disheveled, and people were like, punk asses here, like there you go. Yeah. So
they're like, of course.
And then I went up to Lyman Lake State Park up in Arizona and just did Highway 666, the Devil's Highway up there, and a little bit of the Tail of the Dragon with my parents. Both my parents ride; they're fucking awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like my mama's a badass, my dad's a badass. Like it's they own like a leather business. They do custom leather work. And my dad works for like Border Patrol and Customs. He does their helicopter maintenance because he's retired.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
And he's just an incredible man, an incredible person, and my mother is just the patron saint of fucking biker boys, man. Like
I love that.
My poor mom hates that I ride, and my R3, I was hit by a truck, so that's why I have.
Man, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, well, that's why I have my FZ07 now. You know, so my mom was pissed off. You're getting another one? I'm like, yeah, and it's faster too.
It's faster.
So the next bike, I really like Kawasaki's H2.
Oh, Kawasaki's. So in my front yard, I have like I have some precursor bikes to like sport bikes because I do love sport bikes. I'm too irresponsible. like
I can't control myself.
That's why I've held off because I want an R1, but I was like, I probably should not.
Yeah, I would kill myself because like, all I'm gonna do is go fast because I love being an idiot. So. I've got a Yamaha, a 79 XS650.
Okay.
And I have an 80 Kawasaki 1000 coming my way. So like old school rice burners that I'm really, 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 really stoked about. And just like the history of motorcycling is really neat. I'm involved with a race team right now that I'm doing marketing for. We're going to be called the American Gentlemen.
A moto race team?
Yeah. And we're going to go into performance baggers, the king of the baggers, into in MotoGP. So that's something interesting that's being worked on. And then I'm also launching a mentorship program for dog trainers in regards to building businesses.
Nice.
And then because that's something that's not very, very, very talked about in regards to dog training is how you build your business to be lucrative and how you build your business to actually sustain your living. Because I see a lot of great dog trainers and then I'm like, oh shit, like, is this what you do for a living? To not bartend? And I'm like, okay, like
you're like, you need to stop.
Right. Yeah. What are you doing? Right. Well, let me tie it back to dog training for a second because we're just kind of going off. We're just kind of going off on our little tangent, but all jokes aside, little things like that, just finding that one thing that connects us and putting it together. That's what a lot of people are uncomfortable trying to do. So we were talking about the importance of making content just to put yourself out there and to show the evidence that you know what you're doing and to build that sort of credibility is the word. Now, talk to me a little bit about the importance of using social media today to collab with other trainers and make your circle bigger.
This is huge. So and this is from personal experience, I've always been a lone wolf. I've always been like a disperser, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know wolf theory, most dispersers, lone wolves, are female. It's not males. So it's just an interesting factoid that I always like to throw out there, where people go, "Oh, that's weird," because we associate that as a very male thing, right? It's actually a very female thing.
I'm a loner, Dottie, a rebel.
That's exactly it. So it's not only important to network with trainers, but it's also important to brand yourself in a personal manner also. But the networking of trainers is, in my opinion, crucial at this moment, not even for referrals, but to elevate one another.
Right, exactly.
Because if me, because Russ is one of my best friends in dog training from from Calm Canine, right?
He's awesome.
If I'm featuring someone like him, and we're pretty opposite, he's like super chill, super like dope and calm and like music festival hippie.
Yeah.
Like, let's beat skulls and take their jaws. But we're able to find such common ground and be able to hit different niches. Here's the thing. Somebody's going to see my content that doesn't like me, right? But if I have Russ or Danny or one of you guys on my social media, they may click on that trainer, and then all of a sudden, oh, I vibe more with that person.
Right.
And so it's not only about community and support, because y'all know this. Being on the balance side of dog training, mental health is an issue on our side of the fence, because, and this is hot take, we are consistently gaslighted by the other side of the industry. We are consistently gaslighted by saying that our shit doesn't work. We are consistently gaslighted by saying that we are abusers. We are consistently gaslighted, and at some point you're going to question yourself. And as a proper dog trainer, you should question everything you do all the time to make sure that the welfare of the animal is first and foremost.
Correct, right.
But it is abusive what we deal with. Like, it truly is. Because I spoke to my therapist, because I go see a therapist because my mental health is.
Of course.
No, I hear you. I do too. Go ahead.
We all do.
And she said something. She's the one that brought that up, because I trained her dog. And then
Nice.
And then she goes, "You're legitimately being gaslighted, whatever the proper conjugation of that."
Yeah, I hear you.
Of that is. You're legitimately experiencing abuse from the other side of your industry, because they're not giving you credibility to things that you are consistently replicating.
Right.
And consistent replication is science. Like, being able to replicate a result under different circumstances is science.
Yeah, well, good science is good observation. If you can do it over and over and over again, it's repeatable. I hear you.
Which is why, and this is, we're kind of off topic, but anecdotal data and empirical evidence is very important. Like, and people are like, well, this is peer reviewed. Well, peer reviewed has been shown to be flawed. Peer review has been shown to be flawed because there's bias in it. And then the defense of it is, well, it's been acknowledged that there's bias in peer review. Okay, well, that's fucking the problem.
Yeah, well, that's my point. You can't be like, you acknowledge it. That doesn't mean it goes away.
But anyway, back to networking.
Yes.
On the balance side of things, you need to pick trainers who you believe in, right? But you also need to elevate those trainers. You need to rep them, because there's plenty of fucked up dogs for everybody, y'all.
Yep, so many.
Like, ain't no shortage, man. Ain't no shortage. And the more of us succeed, the more this becomes the acceptable way to train dogs, the acceptable way to train dogs.
A rising tide raises all ships.
And also, if this is very important, and this is something that I like to stress to the people that I mentor. If you see some bullshit on the balance side, call it out.
Yep.
Like, call it out. Like for instance, so Gelman was he was a transitional person in my transition from pure positive to balanced, right?
Okay.
But the Pyrenees video I wasn't a fan of. Because he said no, the dog disengaged and then bonked anyway. And the dog was completely confused as to what happened. So with that, I am not going to stand by that and be like, that's good dog training. Do I think that Gelman should be shut down? No. And Jeff and I have had conversations about this. I've straight up told him, I said, I'm not the biggest fan of what you do. I'm not. Like I'm just not. That's not me trashing him because he knows how I feel about him, but we are still amicable. We are still amicable on the balance side, because when they shut his seminar down in Chicago, I went to bat for him and put myself out there. And then other balance trainers were like, you can't do that, Jonas. Don't associate with Gelman. But if they go for Jeff and they're able to
go for everybody else too,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Where does it stop?
They don't differentiate between us like we do.
Right.
They like what they see is that we all use this little trigger on a remote, and that's inhumane. They don't differentiate. Right. We have to fight for the right for the seminar to happen and for people to choose to train their dog how they choose, or how they want to. How they want to train their dog. Right. So the bigger picture, again, it's not for what my ego would be that the balance side gives everybody dogs on a flat buckle collar and a leash, but it's for owners' choice. That's what we have to fight for, which is why legislation is our worst fucking enemy, as it's being shown in England, in Italy, in Spain, in Norway, in Denmark.
Yeah, and ultimately what we're using to combat that is culture. We're creating a dog training culture.
Yes.
Right. And this, through this renaissance, whatever you want to fucking call it, it's like the more cool it becomes, the more it becomes common knowledge. I think we talked about this over the phone. Is like, I wish, that back when there was a huge rescue boom, right? In the early 90s and the 2000s, where if you didn't rescue your dog, you were looked down upon, you were shunned. And then there are these people buying from very reputable breeders, and they're like, but I was taught in my generation that you're supposed to get a quality breeder. There's nothing wrong with good quality breeding, right? What's wrong is backyard breeding. So the idea is socially it became this thing where it's like, oh my God, you don't rescue your dog? Like, right? And there's a judgment call. Now, even though that's a fucked up judgment call, the idea is the villainizing of one side versus the other side, right? And now as we're kind of coming towards the middle, back then they made rescue really cool, right? With people like Best Friends and NKLA out here.
Absolutely.
And across the nation, rescue is cool. So now the culture to rescue an animal is highly created. And it's kind of obvious, like, of course I rescued, duh, right? Yeah. We need that to happen with dog training. We need dog training to be like, duh, like you don't train your dog, and you can get actually talked down upon because you don't train your dog. And naturally the pendulum will swing where it becomes more balanced, where it's just, yeah, of course you train your dog. Duh, I just got a dog from the rescue. I signed him up for group class. Duh, that's what we did.
And so, like, because I'm the only dog trainer in my immediate social circle, like they're always like, I never knew that there was another way to train my dog.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're always like, I never knew that there were other ways. And so, like, here's the thing, the average person, and here's something that I learned, right? The average person doesn't give a fuck about the battle that we're in.
Right.
Like they don't give a shit. But when you actually become vulnerable, you share the stories of persecution, you share all these things, then people start to open up and be like, oh fuck, these trainers are literally getting results, and fucking literally they're being persecuted for getting results. Be vulnerable, balance side, show your shit, open yourself up. Do not be afraid if somebody calls animal control on you because they saw your dog on a prong collar because you think it's going to be bad for business. That's what happened to me 2 years ago. Somebody called animal control on me for dog abuse because one of the dogs I was training was on a prong. Perfect heel, no big deal.
Interesting. That's so crazy.
And what did I do? I put it on the internet.
Yep.
I put it on the internet because I'm so transparent. And then people were like, that's bullshit, fucking la la la. Like, people get your side.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like those dog Karens out there, you know.
Oh man, there's literally a TikTok on like video that I made of a person. I was working with a blue heeler who was biting. I was showing results, and I wasn't like I didn't have to hang the dog. I didn't have to do any of that shit. It was just on a slip leash, walking with me, and she called the police on me, and my personal assistant was with me, and I was like, get this on fucking video. And like legitimately we were able to capture the entire interaction of her calling me an animal abuser. So I was able to show the before and after of this dog and the persecution that I faced for using the approaches that I used when that dog was supposed to be euthanized the next day.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
I have that story with one of my personal dogs. So like when Brent knows my dog Simba.
Yep.
And you know River.
Yep.
My dog Simba in particular, he was actually that I personally learned e-collar on.
Cool.
Something close to you, like 5-6 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things. His react, and his ability and his willingness to push you was pretty intense. I mean, I at that point in my like dog training career, I've seen dogs redirect on leash because you correct them and they're like, fuck you, you know.
Absolutely.
But he was up there though. He honestly was quite the challenge. And e-collar made a world of difference. I don't know if it's just the freedom or the different sensation or whatever the case, but it totally transformed him into something that he just wasn't before. And each and every single story that I personally have of somebody like coming at me like that in person in real life was because of Simba. First, it was because he was on a prong collar. I corrected him, so he goes after me, so I correct him, and it was just a cycle. And somebody at me from across the way before explaining to me that they think dogs should just be dogs and we shouldn't tell them what to do. So I'm like, oh, you're just a crazy person. So I like anyway. but the last time this happened to me, and when I learned to like stop fighting with a trainer, like, you know, of course I can represent my that, like I can make an argument. But if you're just something on the street, like don't bother me, bro. But the last time that I spoke to somebody about this was in Petco, heading to visit my sister in Central Cal. She had just bought a house. I bring the dogs, I pack them up, of course. I forget food. So I go to the store, no big deal. Let me get a bag of food real quick. They're on e-collars, dope. Trainer. It's a Petco. There's dogs, there's, you know, on point. And on our way to check out, my dogs that are perfectly right there in a downstay 10 feet away, because that's where I left him while I'm standing in line, you know, till I bring him to my heel. And just some pity, he's not like some working line. I bought him to be top level, whatever, you know.
Big chunk.
You know, right. You know, just this dog who had no business ever being anything near this, you know, just being so obedient and just so calm around people, for fuck's sake, you know, considering how I got him. And this lady is like, oh, what a sweet baby. And I have it on video too. I have her voice saying all that. I release them. He goes and wiggles up to play with her. And I'm in my head, I'm like, this is amazing. He's playing with people. Like you have no idea, lady, if you'd have met this dog like 2 years ago, you know. And what a cutie. She's feeling this giant ass head and she feels the collar. What's that? And I show her the remote. It's an e-collar, you know. My other one has it too, Mia, you know. And she, when I still wasn't talking, she was screaming at, we're like this far apart, and she's screaming at my face. Oh, sweet little angel, this and this and this, this and this and this. How could you do this to this? This dog is so sweet. This dog is so whatever. And that was the last time I ever bothered arguing. Of course, everybody in the store is like, who's this bitch, you know? And I'm just like, look, if you had any idea what the history of this dog was, he was not this sweet little angel like 2 years ago. He's this sweet little angel because dad did what he did. And you know, and then it hits that point where it's like, you know, I don't have to defend myself to you. Like, my dog is alive because of me.
You're like, I'm trying to check out. Not trying to give a seminar right now.
No,
like,
correct. No, and that's true. But
here's my card.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Exactly. Well, you know, but
you could pay to play. Here you go.
Well, and that was the last question I asked her, was like, are you a dog trainer? No. All right. I'll see you later. Have a, you know, well, let's go. Like, but my thing was just, you know, you have no idea. This dog would not be who he is, would not have the life he has if it wasn't for me and with that e-collar and with everything else, because I worked him with the prong. You know, the girl who I was with at the time, she was also a dog trainer, worked him with the prong. Like, we did our whole thing. And it was like, and I'm a big believer in prong collars, by the way. That e-collar.
It's my favorite tool.
Right. And that e-collar, man, it totally changed the game. So I'm like, listen, if you want to sit here and argue with me, I don't really have energy for you. Like, do you have some credentials? Like, is this going to take me anywhere? But if not, you're just some person on the street telling me that I suck based on the zero experience you have. I'm good. You know, I've got better things to do with my time.
Wouldn't it be nice if people were like, why do you use that? Here's why.
Thanks for asking a productive question.
It totally would. But here's the other thing that would be nice. If other trainers, and Brent and I have talked about this before with trainer friends that we've had on from South America. If other trainers understood the difference between be able to articulate your point and your position, which any trainer should do. However, know when you do and when you don't. You don't fight every single battle. And
that's part of my mentorship program. That's part of my mentorship program.
That's part of life mentorship program. And the thing is too is like, it bothers me that trainers, it bothers me that they get so bothered by some person. I'm like, who cares what this guy thinks, man? Like, if you save that dog, you know, you save, like, how many Brent and Jonas, both of you, how many dogs have you guys trained that were untrainable, quote unquote?
Zero.
Every fucking dog that comes into my
okay, there you go. So then there's my point.
How many did we say were how many they said were untrainable?
Yeah, that were quote unquote untrainable.
A bunch.
Yeah, it's not even worth counting anymore at this point, right? So it's like,
we're talking about documented dogs, 8,000 at this point.
There you go. So but that's my point though, is people can say what they want, but I wish the newer trainers, people are supposed to talk shit. It's kind of their job, at least in my head. It's like, yeah, people are going to hate. It's part of the whole insecurity thing. It's part of the whole, you tear down the building so that yours is taller thing. Like, I get it.
Right.
What's bothering me is, why are you letting it work? That's what I don't understand.
And that, I think that has a lot to do with the insecurity of just growing the fuck up. You know,
True.
And growing the fuck up within an industry, growing the fuck up within understanding who you are. And
navigating this industry is tough for newcomers.
Absolutely.
Like navigating this industry is incredibly tough for the people that I mentor, because there's so much conflicting information in regards to what you should be doing. And there's, in my opinion,
it's easy to lose track. Yeah. 100%.
Yes. And in my opinion, you want to build a successful business, here's the blueprint. Here's the fucking blueprint. And I give it to everybody for free. This is what my students pay me for. Is we flesh out the skeleton in the mentorship program, but this is the skeleton that I teach. You fucking do rescue work for free and you build referrals. You show your heart. You show your heart first and foremost. You don't, and people who apprentice with me, they do all this. They do all the bitch work. They do all this shit work. You show your heart that you want this, because this industry pays well. But if you're going, but if you're going to earn that pay, you better fucking respect the craft.